1.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to Wrasslin Dogs Farms. Today we're going to make a batch of gluten-free sweet potato gnocchi. So we're going to start off with 2 cups of roasted pureed sweet potatoes. So what you can do is just take the sweet potatoes in their skins, put them in a 425 degree oven, and put them directly on the oven rack, but put a cookie sheet with a piece of aluminum foil underneath it. And cook them for 45 minutes to 1 hour at 425 degrees. And then once they're done, just take them out, let them cool down. They're very easy to peel, and run them through a food mill or grate them with a grater, or you can just mash them with the potato masher. But you're going to end up with 2 cups of sweet potatoes, which is going to be about 2 to 3 good-sized potatoes. Now, to keep things gluten-free today, I am using sweet potato flour, which I was actually able to get from TJ Maxx or Marshall's or Home Goods or one of those companies. So I used a combination of sweet potato flour and squash flour. And we're going to be adding 2 cups of that flour to the mixture. Now, it's getting a lot easier lately to find gluten-free alternative flours. You can certainly try this recipe with garbanzo bean flour or fava bean flour, or you might even be able to find sweet potato flour. I am actually thinking of trying to make some of my own with my dehydrator and a spice grinder. I'll let you know how that goes. So what you want to do before you add the egg to it is you want to make sure that you combine all of the potato and the flour together into a consistent paste. And you want to make sure that you scrape the bottom of the bowl so that you get all those dried pieces of the flour up. Okay? And that's about what you want it to look like. Now I have 1 egg beaten. And we're going to add that to the mixture. And now we're just going to continue stirring it as best we can with a spoon. Until that egg gets nicely beaten. And the dough is a little wet and sticky. So now what you're going to do is just take your bowl and set it aside and get a nice clean cutting board. You know what I do with my cutting boards after I clean them is I leave them standing upright and I spray them with a mixture of water and bleach and a little bit of essential oil so that the smell isn't so bad. Now I have a 1/2 cup of corn flour. Cornmeal, I use the fine cornmeal. That's perfectly fine. If you can find corn flour, that's good too. But I'm using just the finely ground cornmeal. And this is a New York State non-GMO brand cornmeal that I get through a CSA group that we're a member of. But you could probably find some good quality corn flour in the grocery store. And certainly Bob's Red Mill is a great source. So now you are going to take that mixture of sweet potato and the sweet potato flour, and we have it on a corn flour dusted cutting board. Now I have a 1/2 of a cup of flour measured out, and I've only spread about 1/2 of it on the cutting board because you really only need about 1/4 of a cup, but I have a little extra because if your sweet potatoes are a little bit moist and a little sticky, you just want to make sure you have it on hand. So, the great thing about gnocchi dough is that it doesn't have to be kneaded that long, and it doesn't have to rest for that long. In fact, once I get this dough together to a point where I'm happy with it, we can just start cutting it and rolling it out. So I really want to get as much of that 1/4 cup of flour that I spread out on the board. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of the rest of it so that we can roll out a ball, and I can show you how you make your gnocchis. Now, this is where I'm going to take a little bit of that sweet potato flour and roll it on my hands, and a little bit of the corn flour and roll it on my hands so that the dough isn't sticky. And we're going to just roll it out into about a 1/2 inch if you can. Now, if you want to, go to our Facebook page, to Wrasslin Dogs Farms, and you'll find a video from March 20th. And that is a video where you can learn how to make a basic potato gnocchi. Unfortunately, that video is not on our YouTube page, which is Chris Napolitano. Chris with a Y, as you'll notice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, the dough has been rolled out, and I'm just going to, with the fork, cut off a few pieces of it so I can show you the basic technique to create an gnocchi. And you cut off a little section, you roll it into a ball, you get your fork, and you just give it a little smush so that you get that little wedge in it. Okay, so what you want are these little ridges in the dumpling, essentially, so that when you serve it with sauce, or you can just serve it very simply with butter and cheese, the sauce sticks to the dumpling, just like a rigatoni, which has a nice ridge. You want to use that with a thick sauce because the ridges hold the sauce. So that's really it. That's the technique. So now what you can do is you can finish making this batch, which will make probably about at least a pound, pound and a half. Once you're done, just let them sit out on the table and get some water boiling, salted water, throw them in. In about 2 to 4 minutes, you'll start seeing them float. You don't want to put a lot in, really 12 ounces a good serving in a small pot, or do the whole pound in a big stock pot. And you'll see them float after about 2 to 4 minutes. Just let them float for another minute, and then you can serve them with some melted butter and some cheese. You can also, after you're done making them, put them in the freezer and use them as you would like to. So that's it for making sweet potato gnocchi. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page, Chris Napolitano, our Facebook page, to Wrasslin Dogs Farms. Tomorrow we're going to the Bronx to pick up our seed starting unit. So check in with us in a couple of days and see what we have done up here. Take care, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay busy. Bye.